Heartbreak in Minneapolis. A devastating school shooting has shaken the entire country. This morning, during a mass marking the start of a brand new school year, a gunman opened fire through stained glass windows of a church. It happened at a Catholic school. You can see parents there picking up their children. Two young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed while they sat in pews inside the church. Another 17 wounded, 14 of them children. Authorities say the gunman, a trans in his early 20s, used a rifle, a shotgun, as well as a pistol. Our thoughts and prayers with the victims and also the entire school. Such a sad day today, hearing the reports coming out of Minnesota. We have lots of news coming out from the White House on this as well, and we'll have more on this coming up in about 15 minutes. Our Kara Castronova is at the White House collecting more information as it unfolds there in Minneapolis. So we'll bring you the latest on that here in just a couple of minutes on Spin Room. Thanks for joining us today. Good to have you here with us. I'm Vanessa Broussard. Now to a bombshell report coming from inside funeral homes. Embalmers, engineers claiming they're seeing white substances inside the deceased, inside bodies, as it has stemmed, they say, from 2021. What year was that? COVID. With more on this, we are joined now today by Thomas Haviland. Thomas, so good to have you here on Spin Room. Thanks so much to being here, telling your story. This is huge because, you know, the medical field, the mainstream media, they'll all debunk the claims on what really happened during COVID-19. The American people have been starving for answers, but you're an engineer. You started looking into this. Tell our viewers your background and what you have found.
Yeah, Vanessa, I'm a retired U.S. Air Force major, spent 36 years working in and with the U.S. Air Force, doing electrical engineering work and also being a data analyst. And I actually watched that movie Died Suddenly when it came out in November of 2022. And these 6 or 7 embalmers in that movie said they were finding these unusual white fibrous clots in their corpses. And they had never seen these before. These were embalmers with 20 or 30 years of experience, never seen this phenomenon before the years of COVID and the COVID vaccines. So the next day after I watched that movie, the night it premiered, I called the Ohio Embalmers Association and I confirmed with their now president, Mr. Woody Wilson, who runs a funeral home up in Marysville, Ohio, about an hour north of where I live in Dayton. And he does his own embalming. He said, "Tom, I'm seeing the white fibrous clots too." So I said, wow, now I have confirmation from an official officer of, the president of the Ohio Embalmers Association saying that he's seeing the clots. So I decided right away to run a survey, a nationwide survey, which I then later on turned into a worldwide survey by including Canada, the UK, and Australia and New Zealand to see just how prevalent these white fibrous clots were and are, because I figured that our own FDA and CDC would not be looking into this issue.
And if they are, they're not going to tell us. So let's back up. What are these clots that they're finding? Are these from the deceased who had COVID-19, died of COVID-19, had it in the past, and or people who had the vaccine?
We believe it actually could be both, probably more prevalent with those that have taken the vaccine. And here's the reason why. The problem here is the spike protein, and there is a spike protein on the surface of the virus itself. So if that gets into the bloodstream, it could cause this phenomenon to happen. However, it's much more likely that the vaccines are causing it, Vanessa, because the vaccines, as you know, they bypass our mucosal membrane that the virus would have to fight through, but the injections go directly into your body, and they were supposed to stay in your deltoid muscle in your upper arm, produce just enough of the spike protein for a couple of days to a week to get you ready for COVID, but that's not what happened at all. Those lipid nanoparticles carry that vaccine all over the body, and it sets up shop in cells all over the body, and the mRNA from the vaccine continues to produce the spike protein. Now we know for over 700 days, according to a Yale study, instead of the 2 days to a week that it was supposed to. So the people that have taken the vaccines have massive amount of spike protein, and we have proof at a microscopic level. I think you have slides there to show that basically it's combining with our plasma's natural blood clotting protein called fibrinogen to produce these bizarre polymer white fibrous clots instead of the normal fibrin, which is it it does in the normal clotting process.
And let's bring that up. We do have a side-by-side photo to show the people, but we want to start with this. You recently spoke at a conference in Tennessee, correct, where you were giving updates on your findings. Explain these pictures we're looking at right now. What are we seeing here?
Yeah, at that convention, I was invited by the president of the Tennessee Funeral Directors Association, Mr. Taylor Moore, on June 8th to speak to their embalmers and funeral directors at their national convention just south of Nashville. And they invited me because they're concerned. We're into year 4 of this now, and these things are not going away. So I gave a presentation about an hour long at that convention. I also captured on video, Vanessa, 18 of 28 embalmers in that room raising their hands, saying that they're still seeing the white fibrous clots in the first half of 2025. So this issue is not going away, is concerning.
Wow. And to show you that side by side now for our viewers at home, explain to us again what we're seeing here.
Yeah, this is a side-by-side photograph in a scanning electron microscope that appeared in a peer-reviewed article in Nature magazine last August of 24 by Ryu and colleagues, RYU and colleagues. On the left is what our natural fibrin is supposed to look like when our fibrinogen that's in our blood plasma is produced by the liver, and it's used in the normal clotting process. It's in a liquid form, but whenever there's damage done to your veins and arteries, say you get a cut on your arm, that liquid fibrinogen turns into a white solid called fibrin, and it looks like these nice cooked spaghetti noodles, nice and smooth, and basically forms a net. It collects your red blood cells and your platelets and forms a nice clot. And then when your wound is healed, then another enzyme we have called plasmin comes along, attaches to those nice smooth spaghetti noodles, and it breaks down the clot, and then you're good to go again. But look on the right. This is what happens when the fibrinogen that's in our blood, that protein, comes in contact with the spike protein, either from the COVID virus or from the COVID vaccine. It becomes all nasty and twisted, a mess. It has these nasty nodules on it, and then it becomes impossible for our enzyme plasmin to attach to that clot and break it down. So then the clots tend to grow and persist and become these massive white fibrous clots. Now, if you go to the next slide in that deck, I don't
have that next slide. I do have, I do have this study that you conducted. Yeah. The next slide we don't have.
Okay, Thomas, the next slide, I'll explain it verbally. Basically, that slide was of a white fibrous clot that was sent to a neuroscientist in Japan named Dr. Kevin McCarran. He took a look at one of the embalmer's clots under a scanning electron microscope at a magnification of 5,000 times. And basically what you see is what looked like on the right. You see a nasty, twisted mess of fibrinogen with the nodules all over it. So proving that it basically looks more like the photo on the right, proving that like I said, the spike protein from either the virus or the vaccine is combining with our blood's natural blood clotting protein fibrinogen, causing these clots to form. So we have proof at the microscopic level that this is indeed what's happening.
Wow. And still happening. So we just saw it for a second. I want to pull that back up because I think this is very interesting to coincide with what you've been telling us at the conference. You conducted a survey. Let's look at that. Question 2, let's start with this one. There's several questions on there. Question 2 asks if participants have seen these clots in the veins or arteries during the first half of this year. 64% said yes. What does this tell us?
Yeah, it tells us this phenomenon is still happening, and it's kind of scary because we're into year 4 of this now. Like I said, most of the embalmers started seeing this phenomenon in 2021 after the rollout of the vaccines. There were a few that said they saw it in 2020 when we had COVID but no vaccines yet, but then there was an explosion of embalmers that said they started seeing it in 2021. So we have confirmation of that. And then the next
question 3 now. Yeah, question
ahead.
3. Okay, well, it asks that the percentage of people, the deceased, have they seen the clots this year? It says, in what percentage of the deceased have they seen the clots this year? A majority say up to 20%.
Yeah, basically, if you average those bars together, you get the clots appearing as 17% of the corpses. 1 out of every 6 dead bodies, according to the Tennessee embalmers, are still having these white fibrous clots. And like I said, this is a phenomenon they saw none of this prior to the years of COVID and the vaccines. Very scary.
It is scary. I want to take to the final question, and we can dig into this a little deeper. Finally, question 4, we want to show what is the longest clot you've removed this year. 9 participants said 1 to 2 inches. 7 said 3 to 5 inches. I don't know. I'm not an engineer or a doctor, but 5 inches seems pretty long to me when it comes to a clot in your body.
Absolutely. And, I showed you this one example here. This is a 5.5-inch clot right here. This was taken out of the abdominal aorta. It's one of the largest blood vessels in the body. Obviously, this is 5.5 inches long, half an inch wide. If these things completely block a vein or artery, they're going to cause a stroke or heart attack. And by the way, these things are not just appearing in the dead, Vanessa. They're appearing in the living as well. I'm in contact with an endovascular specialist and cardiologist in Jacksonville, Florida, named Dr. Mohanad Basharat. And he has told me that he's been removing these same white fibrous clots out of living people for the last 4 years in what's called a cath lab, a catheterization lab, where he uses flexible catheters that either suck the clot out, scrape it out, or lasso it and pull it out that way.
Ugh. Just awful. So, okay, so what do we do? Because the medical field, the medical industry, they debunk this. They debunk these claims. They say these are conspiracy theories. They say these clots are not unusual, and they say linking them to COVID-19 is misinformation. So, of course, you're a conspiracy theorist, according to the medical field, and so are all of the other people who think that, taking a vaccine is bad for you. They'll say, no, everyone needs a vaccine. So what can people do? There are so many people out there, they didn't know at the time. COVID had never been, the world this was brand new to the world, the entire world. And so a lot of people who are out there watching right now regret getting the vaccine. Is there anything they can do to detox, or what are people saying that you're talking to?
Yeah, first, in terms of the debunking thing, it's hard to debunk something when you actually can physically see it, right? That it's actually happening. In addition to Mr. Woody Wilson, the president of the Ohio Embalmers Association, Mr. Chris Calvi Jr., the president of the Pennsylvania Funeral Directors Association, Mr. Taylor Moore, the president of the Tennessee Funeral Directors Association, Mr. Kevin Swire, the president of the Manitoba, Canada Funeral Service Association, are all foreseeing the clots as well. I said, we have the 18 embalmers on camera raising their hands at the Tennessee Funeral Directors Association convention, saying that they're seeing the clots. The proof is overwhelming that these things do indeed exist. In terms of getting rid of them, once the clots have formed, Vanessa, it's almost impossible to break them down. They've tried clot-busting drugs. Dr. Basharat has in his cath lab. They use a tissue plasminogen activator. Works beautifully against traditional grape jelly clots, or what's called chicken fat clots, which are much smaller, yellowish in color, and tear very easily, much different than these really hard white fibrous clots that are rubbery, tough, and the tissue plasminogen activator does not work on them. So the trick is then to keep them from forming in the first place, and that can be done by eliminating the spike protein in people's blood. And I know Dr. Peter McCullough, for example, has products that he says have shown great promise in his practice. It's a combination of a couple of natural supplements called nattokinase, bromelain, and curcumin that he uses in a product that he calls the Ultimate Spike Detox. And people can buy it from him and the wellness company. They could also just go on Amazon and get these products as well. They're over-the-counter supplements that people can purchase. But he has said he's shown great promise in his patients in helping them detox their body of the damaging spike protein that's causing these things to form, as well as other side effects, like miscarriages, turbo cancers, nerve damage, myocarditis, all these things.
Unbelievable. So you spoke at this conference. You've been talking to different people. You've been studying on this, Thomas. What comes next for you? What lies ahead?
Right now, over the last few weeks, I've been in contact on the phone with Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, our NIH director. I also, last Friday, talked to Dr. Robert Malone, who's now part of the ACIP committee at the CDC, and they formed a new COVID-19 immunization work group to really hone in and look at the vaccines and the harms coming from the COVID vaccines. So I have volunteered all the surveys I've done over the last 3 years, the results of my 3 worldwide surveys, and would love to go before them and talk about this, because if it is indeed this prevalent, if it's in 25% of the dead, according to my last worldwide survey, and we're not sure how much of the living are walking around with these things forming inside them right now, perfectly fine, asymptomatic until it completely blocks a blood vessel, then you have your stroke or heart attack. You've got to get to the bottom of this. So I think this is the most spectacular side effect of the COVID-19 vaccines and COVID, and I believe it deserves to be studied and looked at. So we're really, myself and a team of scientists I'm working with are calling for the CDC, the FDA, university labs all over the world to get their own samples of these white fibrous clots, do their own testing to confirm or refute what our scientific team has found about it being caused by the spike protein and the phospholipid nanoparticles, and then take steps to mitigate it.
And for people who are interested in your story, it's very interesting to me. I know it is for a lot of people watching right now. How can they follow you, your findings, and the work that you're doing?
Yeah, my wonderful assistant, Miss Laura Kasner, runs a free Substack that we call Clotastrophe. And you can find that at Laura, Laura, Kasner, Kasner.substack.com. LauraKasner.substack.com.
All right, we will continue to follow this and hope to bring you back on, because I know you had sent over tons of slideshows. We couldn't get it all in today, but maybe, Thomas, you can come back soon and hopefully we can dig deeper more into this, because people are still wanting answers. There's proof right there. You're holding it in your hand that there are these white clots. Yeah, it's right there. So I hope you'll come back soon and we can talk more about this. Thanks for being here today and giving our viewers an update.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And when we come back, we'll go live to the White House, where flags are right now being flown at half-staff after today's school shooting in Minnesota. We have a reaction to this heartbreak. Kara Castronova is standing by. We'll join her from Washington, D.C. next here on Spin Room. Stay with us.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including Lindell TV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to Lindell TV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
Looking at Market Watch now. Thanks for joining us back here on Spin Room. The Dow up, closing the day 147 points. The S&P 500 up 15 points, and the Nasdaq up 45 points. So a great way to end the day there on Wall Street. In the meantime, the country is mourning. 2 students are dead while they sat in church at a Catholic school this morning. Let's go to our Kara Castronova live in Washington, D.C. with more on this. Kara, I was in an appointment when this news broke this morning, sat in my chair with tears in my eyes, because at some point, we as a country need to protect our babies, and yet here we are again with another school shooting. And to think that these innocent children were in church, sitting in their pews, worshiping our Lord when they were attacked. I mean, just heartbreak.
It is heartbreaking, and it wasn't good news walking into the White House. As the flag was being lowered to half-mast, you could see the flag on the White House behind me, and then the one on the South Lawn and the North Lawn as well. The president issued a proclamation to fly these flags at half-mast for these children that were killed, and that is to go on until sundown on Sunday. So that's by the orders of President Trump. And as you know, more information is emerging, Vanessa, that this was potentially a hate crime against Christians, against Catholics, that these children were targeted because of their religion. On Nick Sorter's X post, if you guys could pull up that Nick Sorter X post, he was speculating that this was a trans shooter, and it turns out he was correct. Breaking, according to this X post, the Minnesota Catholic school shooter has been identified as Robin Westman. Now, this was a few hours ago that this individual was identified, and then it came out in Newsweek, the organization Newsweek, calling this person a she. When initially the news was referring to this person as a he, now calling this person a she, saying that Robin Westman's mother applied to have his name changed as Robin when he was 17 years old. So that would be about 5 years ago, because I guess this person is transgender, as Nick Sorta had posted as breaking news. So I got that news on X, and X is really putting this stuff out there before everybody else is, Vanessa. And if you guys could pull up that manifesto, a lot of stuff is coming out about the manifesto. A very sick manifesto, but it was sort of like, if you didn't know this person was a murderer and killing these children, reading this letter to his parents, really just heartbreaking. I can't imagine how his parents must feel, apologizing, I guess, for killing these people and for killing himself, and just really a lot of self-pity here in this letter to his family and his friends. That was released along with the manifesto as well, and with some pretty sick videos and photographs of ammunition with things on it like for the children, so that those were obviously the pieces of ammunition that he planned on shooting children with. One was labeled "Kill the President" or "Kill President Trump" or something along those lines. Another one, something like 6 million was not enough, probably more than likely referring to the people that were killed in the Holocaust. So this was a very unwell person that did this, and I guess more information will continue to come out on who he was, who his family was, if this was indeed a hate crime against Catholics, and really what the motives were here, Vanessa.
Yes, and so 2 things here. One, I'm glad that you're saying he, because the mainstream media will not. They'll say she. But we'll address the elephant in the room, okay? When you have a man in Minnesota where your governor just bows down to you and celebrates you turning into a woman, and cares more about those type of people than the Catholics or the Christians or the everyday people who live their lives, right? Boys and girls. This governor is known as Tampon Tim. He celebrates these people. There's posts on X, you brought up X, of him at a conference or a rally or somewhere in public where there was a trans at the podium and he's clapping. He loves these people. So these people are celebrated in Minnesota. So it's been allowed by the governor, right? And so you have these Catholics who are sitting in church and praying, and look, it's taken a long time for them to say that this is an attack on Christians. Again, I will address the elephant in the room and say this is an attack on Christians. This is an attack on Christians, because the Christians aren't celebrated in Minnesota. The transgender people are. And to sit there, Kara, I'm a mother, and the moms out there should be just as mad today, and they probably are, because my little boy is sitting at school right now. I'm texting his teacher when this is breaking, give him an extra hug from me, because we don't know when we drop them off every day if we're going to get our babies back. Because you have governors and political leaders who celebrate these crazy people. And at some point it has to end. So they can get on there all day long and say guns kill people. Well, you know what? I actually, on that topic, have a friend who got in a wreck yesterday. The car didn't drive off the road. The driver drove the car off the road, and the same thing for the guns. And so this is just sickening. It has to end. And to think that a child is sitting in church at school praying in a pew and murdered is the most disgusting thought a mother could ever have cross her mind. It really is. And I try to be nice and kind and professional here on air every single day because that's who I am. But sometimes, Kara, enough is enough. And so to have these political posts of, was this an attack on Christians? We don't know yet. Yes, it was. Was this a he or a she? It's a boy. Period. And this craziness has to stop. I mean, right? I mean, when does it end?
It's completely enabling, just that Newsweek article alone, it was really kind of vomit worthy. Just how, even after death, they're enabling this person. It's sick, and it is a mental health issue, Vanessa. And, I'm assuming this person could have been on some of these drugs or these chemicals that they're putting into their bodies to change sexes at these young ages that HHS is now looking into, saying that they have side effects that are mental and physical. So that could have been a factor. There's so many factors here, obviously, like you mentioned, having nothing to do with gun control. And I'm just hoping that, the governor, Tim Walz, and other senators like Amy Klobuchar don't use this murder of these children by this person who is clearly very mentally unwell and very enabled, sadly, by certain politics to use this as a rallying cry to take away people's guns. So hopefully that isn't on their agenda and they could actually gracefully just admit that this was a hate crime, like you said, against Christians. This is a person that was very, very mentally ill, that probably needed a lot of help, and that was probably enabled, by sadly to say, certain policies that the Democrat Party pushes, political pandering for these people. Yeah. So it's very sad.
It is. And, Kara, I just believe that until the media and until our politicians don't address what the real problem is of mental illness, a normal sane person doesn't do this. They don't do this. And so, they can go, and a normal sane person doesn't go on air and say that a man who grows out his hair and puts on lipstick is a woman. It's not. It's still a man. And so until we can be realistic with ourselves, we can't be realistic with the public. And so at some point this has to end. And the craziness in this world has to end. And the targeting of our children has to end. And it's just so sad. And there was video, Kara, out earlier of the parents waiting to see if their child was alive or if their child was at the hospital. I believe the latest number was 17 being treated at the hospital right now. This video right here, can you imagine? I mean, there are parents saying that their children had blood on their shirts. There was a little boy, I believe he was a 5th grader earlier, Kara, who said that his best friend, I'm trying not to cry on air right now, his best friend who was sitting next to him in church got shot and was laying on top of him. Like, these children will be scarred for the rest of their lives. Like, it's just so sad. And I'm so glad that the president has lowered the flags to half staff. He immediately put out a statement. It's just, I just wish the political back and forth would end and we would really come to a solution on how do we stop this. And I think it's just the media and the politicians. And until that stops, we're going to keep having this problem.
Definitely, Vanessa. It's tragic, and we'll keep on top of the story. I'm sure that more news will emerge as the days progress as to who this person was, more on his manifesto, if he actually intended to shoot President Trump, because he literally had ammunition with the president's name on it, literally, and videos that are very disturbing that are emerging, I guess, of the shooter saying crazy things as well. So more information to come on that, and praying for those families, obviously, and for the dearly departed souls of those children.
Yes,
and then in other news
today. Okay.
They are.
Yeah, switching gears here.
So switching gears to, I guess, another topic that is, I guess, sad, but not in the same way, which is elections, the elections that we talk about so much on Lindell TV, which are so important to continue to fight for. And it's being reported casually and in rumor that that executive order might be scaled back, the one that we had talked about last week, the one that President Trump mentioned on Monday regarding getting rid of the voting machines, getting rid of the mail-in ballots. So there's no actual a statement from the White House or anything like that saying that there will not be an executive order. I did reach out for comment, but there have been articles on New York Magazine, as well as Roll Call, I believe it was, and others, that the White House is changing course after Trump vows executive order to end mail-in voting. So this is what is sort of going around. It has taken longer than usual. Usually when the president announces an executive order, it's within a couple days or a week or so that that executive order signing comes out. It's taking a little bit longer for this one. That could be for a number of reasons. I'm not saying that it's certainly being scrapped or anything like that. I think it's too early to say if President Trump and his team are backing off on the executive order. They could actually just be taking their time to craft it carefully so it stands a better chance in the courts, because it certainly will be challenged in court by Democrats. So I think rather than rushing out something that Democrats and activist judges could potentially swat down, the White House could be moving deliberately and making sure that the language is really tight and rooting it in existing law and building it to withstand the inevitable legal changes that it will definitely bring. If President Trump wants to, and this is notes that I'm taking now and talking to legal experts in election law, if he really wants to lock in real election integrity reforms, one of the things that he could do, besides obviously doing an executive order, which we could talk about more on what that should entail, he could lean hard on Republican governors in swing states. And that is something he sort of alluded to in that Truth Social post when he said he wants to spearhead getting rid of the mail-in ballots and the election machines in places like Georgia and North Carolina, where the GOP actually holds real power. I believe that there is a trifecta in Georgia, and he could push these governors to champion legislation that tightens mail-in ballots, the rules, expands post-election audits, and restores confidence in in-person voting. So he can work with these governors in the meantime as they iron out this hopeful executive order, or maybe even a proclamation in the meantime, which isn't as legally binding, obviously, as an executive order, but can, again, start pushing the states towards getting rid of mail-in ballots. Vanessa, and there are other things that the president can do in a executive order, and I have some notes here. Like I said, it will certainly be challenged in the courts just because of the states usually having basically the say on elections. But if his lawyers wanted to something that survived judicial scrutiny, and I spoke to an election expert on this, federal agencies, he could limit the order to federal agencies, saying that no federal funds could be used to purchase or maintain electronic voting machines unless certified by, by the president or somebody that he trusts. This would use his budgetary control powers, but only for federal spending, which is within his lawfully. He can do that. He can do that lawfully. He could also direct DHS, the Department of Justice, et cetera, to study vulnerabilities in voting machines and mail-in processes and recommend federal standards. That would be advisory on states, but not binding. And transparency and oversight mandates requiring the Department of Justice to prioritize enforcement of existing federal election laws, like fraud, ballot harvesting, civil rights violations, and this would reframe the executive order as enforcement rather than rewriting state law. So these are all things that I've been told could be added into that executive order rather than outright banning mail-in voting or election machines, which would certainly be challenged in court. Vanessa.
Wow. So yeah, a lot of questions surrounding what lies ahead. I know President Trump is wanting our elections to be safe and secure, as does Mike Lindell, as does we all do, Kara. And so we're waiting to hear more. He has, like you mentioned, already signed one executive order. He's promising more steps in the future. We were hoping that we would see something sooner than later, but we're still holding out. But I'm glad you broke that down about the different steps the president could take in making sure our elections are secure.
Yes, definitely, Vanessa. And we're looking forward
All
to
right.
it. We're
Well, I
looking forward to
appreciate.
him hopefully. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you cut off for a second. So
I was just going to say thank you for that report. I know it's been a hard day for you as well, and seeing those flags at half staff, also working on this executive order that you're following to see an update on there. But we appreciate everything you're doing there at the White House, Kara.
thank you, Vanessa. Have a great show.
Thank you. Also, today we are hearing that there's heavy U.S. naval activity heading toward Venezuela. Let's bring in Sierra Claire now with more on this. Sierra, so good to see you. What can you tell us about what's going on with the U.S. and Venezuela right now?
Yes, great to be with you, Vanessa. And your coverage of what happened in Minneapolis this morning was great, and we're all praying for those kids. As far as the naval deployment in Venezuela, I think it's important to go back to 2023. The Biden administration actually lifted sanctions on Venezuela, on the Maduro regime, which allowed them to, again, all of these oil-rich countries, every time that one of these Democrat leaders does this we see it with Iran, we see it with Venezuela. They lift the sanctions, the country gets enriched, the regime gets strengthened, and now, years later, we're dealing with the consequences of that. So as you said, the U.S. Navy has been deployed down there officially to combat the drug flow that is coming into our country. And again, that's a very legitimate use of the military, is protecting American citizens from these horrible drugs that are killing American citizens. But as you said, there might be more to the story here.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow what's going on there. Do you think, Sierra, that this could be some type of Russian interference with hypersonics? That's what I'm reading in some of these articles.
Yes. So I'm glad you brought that up, because, the liberals in the mainstream media, they always melt down whenever Trump uses American power or projects American power around the world, and they're melting down and they're saying, oh, we're driving Venezuela into Russia's arms or whatever country. But actually, that all happened under Biden. If you look back, the unlimited partnership between Russia and China, the Iranian funding and arming of Hamas, the Russian expansion into South America, all that happened under Biden, and now Trump is trying to clean up these messes. So, the Trump administration is projecting power and using the Navy as a show of force to stop the drug flow, but it may also be a message to the Maduro regime. But that isn't driving Venezuela into Russia's arms. That already happened. What we're doing now is we're making a move and waiting to see the result. And that is how you conduct peace through strength, which is what the Trump administration has been committed to from day one. They've already done some other things, like recognizing the opposition government down there in Venezuela. They have sanctioned the Maduro regime heavily. However, these sanctions, unfortunately, aren't very effective, because the regime has already, been enriched and been strengthened to the point where they are able to circumvent those sanctions or evade them. And again, with the help of Russia, as you talked about, and they do have military cooperation with Russia. So it's certainly, I think it is a message to Venezuela, the U.S. Navy forces down there. And sometimes our military goes into places with the law enforcement aspect, right? With the drug, anti-drug, which is a totally legitimate reason. And then they're also there as a show of force, or they're there, as a preparation, just in case anything might come down the line with what's going on with Russia. So this is definitely something to follow. I think it's always hilarious when people say, oh, the Venezuelans are being driven into Russia's arms because we sent the Navy down there. Actually, that happened under Biden, and now we're just dealing with it.
You're absolutely right. And so we'll continue, like you said, to follow this and some movement going on there surrounding the waters of Venezuela. Let's move on now, Sierra, to the Gaza Strip. Israeli tanks, warplanes, they've ramped up operations around Gaza City. A lot going on there, not really getting a lot of attention. We did have a tragic hospital strike just days ago, and that was followed by a second strike as evacuations were ongoing. And that included emergency workers. 5 journalists were killed. What's going on there?
Yeah, so that the IDF strike on that hospital, I believe that was called Nazar Hospital. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But that was, yeah, the PM Netanyahu actually came out and made a statement about that and said, you know, that it was a mistake. The strike was a mistake, and they regret it. I believe he was referencing the second strike on the hospital because there was a first strike and then a second strike. And, you know, so there were some innocent people that were killed in the second strike. The IDF did confirm in the first strike that 6 terrorists were eliminated, as well as someone who crossed into Israeli territory and participated in the attack on October 7th. So there was a legitimate target there, but the IDF has, you know, obviously come out and said that wasn't the best way to go after that target. And you know, we have seen some things like that throughout this war because Hamas uses these hospitals and schools and all of these things as human shields for their terrorist activity. So it's just a tough war. And I think that's why so many people do support this Israeli, you know, this move by the IDF to go into Gaza City, because this is horrible what Hamas is doing, and we want it to stop for good. You know, we don't want to be back here 2 years, 5 years, whatever.
You're absolutely right. We'll continue to follow that as well. A lot of movement going on across the country. Or across the world, that is. I do want to talk about Sierra. The leader of South Korea was here last week. Any takeaways from that meeting that you found were sticking out, that stood out to you?
Yeah, I think that was a really important meeting. The Trump administration has, you know, shown that they are shifting their focus a little bit towards Asia, towards the Indo-Pacific region, which is really important because they've kind of been bogged down by some of these leftover conflicts from the Biden administration in Israel, in Ukraine, all of these places. And what the US needs to be focusing on is, you know, ensuring that China does not grow into an adversary that we can't manage. So that Asia and Indo-Pacific region is very important. It was interesting because they did briefly mention, the State Department had briefly mentioned a working group, a task force with the Republic of Korea, Japan, and the US against North Korean hackers, basically, and they were talking about that the hacking was leading to funding for illicit North Korean nuclear weapons development. So, you know, again, these are all things that the Trump administration is staying on top of. They're being very strategic about it, and we can't forget that we have these enemies out there, and that is why the Trump administration does things like use show of force, and peace through strength, because we do have these enemies out there who have things like nuclear weapons. So we have to stay on top of that.
You're absolutely right. One more question for you. I'm going to bring it back around. I know we're covering a lot of topics today. Putin and Zelensky, any updates there that you can tell us that you've been following?
Yeah, I heard that, you know, they're still discussing a meeting, that the Russians feel that the agenda isn't ready yet. So I'm taking that as that they haven't heard enough concessions from Ukraine. I do think there's still hope. You know, of course, the mainstream media has wanted to jump on this, and the silence that we're hearing coming out of that last meeting with the Europeans, and they want to jump on it and say it was all a failure. I wouldn't say that yet. I would say that the Secretary of State, Rubio, has actually said several times that these negotiations are better conducted in secret. So, you know, and that they don't like talking about it. So we may not hear of every move that's being made. And so that's why I'm still holding out hope that there is some progress that can be made on this war before we turn back to the idea of sanctions, because as many people have said, that would end all diplomacy for at least a year or more, which would continue the killing. So we really want this current trend to continue.
Absolutely. Always good to have you on here, Sierra. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all of your updates, and we hope to bring you back on soon. Enjoy you every day when you come on here, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And more Spin Room when we come back. Stay with us. But first, don't forget, you can send all your story ideas to us here at Lindell TV. You can send breaking news in your hometown, in your city, your county, your state, any story ideas that you have, guest ideas to news@lindelltv.com. We've received lots of emails. We appreciate all of those. We read every single one. And just because we may not respond doesn't mean that we haven't read it, and we are looking into all of your story ideas. So thanks so much to everyone who has started sending those in. Continue to do so. And again, just to remind you, that email is news@lindelltv.com. We'll be right back.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer. With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com. To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
All right, it's been a sad day for all of us as we watch the crisis unfold in Minneapolis, and we've been covering it here on Lindell TV, but I do not like the end of the day sad. So we're going to have a few little fun stories to end the show just to bring a smile to our face. The first is Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel is back. The old country store has put it in reverse, and they're bringing back its old logo. Finally, they listened. Thank goodness. The company issuing this statement saying, "We thank our guests for sharing your voices and love for Cracker Barrel. We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our old time will remain. At Cracker Barrel, it's always been and always will be about serving up delicious food, warm welcomes, and the kind of country hospitality that feels like family. As a proud American institution," they say, "our 70,000 hardworking employees look forward to welcoming you to our tables soon." So for me, I have to say welcome back. Uncle Herschel sitting in his chair by a barrel. It is good to have him back. He wasn't gone long, thanks to all of the customers out there who wanted them to stay the same. All right, so now I want to tell you about a fun little video that I received on social media. It actually came to the Lindell TV account on X. So this goes back to me saying, send those story ideas in. We love the hard news and we love the fun news as well. So I don't know if you've seen it, the cute little baby videos online where editors are taking political figures and they're turning them into cute, funny baby memes. Well, someone made one of Mike Lindell. This comes from viewer Real Prince Doll on X. Take a look.
Over the last 20 years, with all your support, we've been able to not only launch the original MyPillow, but also the MyPillow mattress topper, Giza Dream bed sheets, My Slippers, and the MyPillow bath towels. But there's so much more. In fact, we have over 200 products, and I'm so confident that you'll love each and every one of them that when you go to MyPillow.com now, you'll immediately receive a free gift valued at $20 just for checking out the website. No purchase necessary. Get everything from MyPillow blankets, sleepwear, kitchen towels, mattresses, duvets, pet beds, body pillows, comforters, couch pillows, bathrobes, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And remember, just for checking out MyPillow.com, you'll immediately receive a free gift valued at $20. No purchase necessary. This is a limited time promotion, so go to MyPillow.com now.
How cute was that? So much fun to see these little videos of political figures on X, and thanks to that viewer for sending that in. Now, that's not a real code, a real promo code that they use just yet. He may give them one, but Vanessa is a real code. So if you're shopping on MyPillow.com, go to that website now. Get some extra savings by using the code Vanessa. Lots of great deals there. The bed sheets, the pillows, the slippers, all of that is on sale. Again, go to MyPillow.com. You can also go to MyStore.com. Lots of great products there as well from U.S. entrepreneurs who have made in the USA products. And the code Vanessa also works on mystore.com. Summer savings, that's a new banner. Mike's Likes, that's a new banner too. Loving it. So he just must have updated all of this today. Looking good. Go check it out. MyPillow.com. Lots of great sales, and also mystore.com. All right, we want to end the show by giving you today's Bible verse of the day. This Bible verse comes to us from the book of Timothy, and it says this: "Or the love of money is a root of all sorts of evil, and some by longing for I have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs." And what this means is Basically what the first part says, money is the root of all evil. It's nice to have, we have to pay our bills, but don't let it control your life. And that'll do it for us here on Spin Room. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you right back here, same time, same place tomorrow. In the meantime, Steve Bannon's War Room is next. I'm Vanessa Broussard, and you're watching Lindell TV.
If you want to drop extra pounds, boost energy levels, and reduce swelling in your legs and feet, then this message is for you. Pure Health Research is on a mission to make America